future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm Not Using It. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon here out of the Sunset Gower Studios, where Murder, She Wrote and Newsroom and Scandal are filmed. But there's no scandal on this show. I'm also syndicated on iHeartRadio everywhere, and Thursday at 7, Saturday at 4 on my syndicated CNBC, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, and FM 106.5 radio, TV, live streaming. And I'm splattering hope and happiness all over the airwaves and all over your cameras because I want you to be happy 88% of the time. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K-words, no Kardashian talk at all. So I'm so glad that you're here with me today. It is a special week, actually. It's the last week of the month when I get to do something called Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa, the new younger Asian Dr. Ruth, because I am determined to make pleasure a G-rated topic, and a little bit more about that in a minute. But I wanted to first start out with my let's see, where is my script here? Here we go. I am starting out with a peace shout out to all the fabulous people this weekend that I got to meet. First, Joy Publicity, my friend Jeanette Joy, who has this gorgeous house out in the middle of nowhere called Wildemar. And you can see from the pictures we had a great time. Infinity pool, my friend Maureen, and a lot of great people. It's an amazing sunset reflection there. As well, I got to spend some time with, let's see, where am I now? That's with Maureen. The next peace in, peace out, shout out is Earth Day. I got to spend Earth Day making some craft with my fabulous friends, Compassionate Art in Action, Faye Love, as well as Kira Corser, and she is the founder of Posts for Peace and Justice. So I had a great time on Sunday there. So I'm just moving and grooving all over, splattering peace and hope and happiness. If you want to be part of my entourage, so you can see, we actually went to reggae too. So there's a little post on that, both on my Twitter, my Instagram's Doc Balance, on my Facebook page, all of those things I would like you to visit. And on Dr. Marissa, you can actually give me the finger, a thumbs up, and then be connected to me that way. So that is the peace in, peace out. Also, excellent customer service. I think I am going to cover that in my balance bar at the end so that I can introduce my guest for today. First of all, why do we do the Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa? First of all, I came across a statistic that said up to 85% of women actually fake orgasms. And I was shocked because I thought I was alone, first of all. But actually, the way that women, we don't talk about pleasure. We don't talk about how it's okay or not to to ask for what we want. And knowing body image is also a big deal. Some of you have heard my story. So I wanted a place that I could actually talk on the air and on camera about pleasure in a safe and respectful way, and at the same time put the moose on the table, which is my Canadian version of elephant in the room, so that we could up the pleasure factor, because pleasure is one of the gifts and the joys of life. So today's guest, and I just found actually my excellent customer service. So the reason why I balance out complaining with customer service, I wanted to say Fidel, Spectrum Garden Grove is great customer service, as well as Ariel Valencia from the PF Chang's in Temecula. Peace in and peace out. Thanks for your excellent customer service. Okay, back to my guest today. Sara Davison is best known as the divorce coach, one of UK's most sought after authorities on breakup, separation, and divorce, revolutionizing the way we view and navigate one of life's most traumatic events. Davison's quest to banish the stigma surrounding divorce and prove that the end of a relationship can be the most empowering, life-affirming event to ever happen to you. It's fast catching on. She's also the author of best-selling book Uncoupling, love that name, and created and launched UK's first ever breakup recovery retreats dubbed the Heartbreak Hotel. Very clever. Sara's coaching programs equip both men and women with the tools and techniques needed to regain control of their lives and feel happy after their breakup. Please welcome to the studio, Sara Davison.
Hi. It's so good to be here, Marissa. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. She's zooming in from England. As you can tell, she has a bit of an accent, which is really awesome. And Sara and I met at the fabulous Best You Expo at the Long Beach Convention Center. And shout out to Bernardo Moya for putting us together. And she actually won my raffle of a free guest experience. And I'm really happy that she did, because I love her topic and I love what she's doing, and being happily divorced as well. We share that in common. I wanted you to come and help sexual healing, or getting that loving feeling back after divorce, which is not fun. And so statistically, how many of us are currently in this boat called the divorce boat?
Well, it's a surprising statistic, actually, but over in the States, you have a higher divorce rate than we do here. In the UK, it's 42% of first marriages end in divorce. In the States, it's 50% of first marriages end in divorce. So, half, and that's rising. And actually, for second marriages, that goes up again. So if you come out of one marriage and you get into another and get remarried, then that statistic goes up to 63%. And then third marriages, the divorce rate rises even more to 73%, which is crazy.
Yeah. I guess if you've done it one time, it's easier and easier to do it over and over again. But I didn't. Did it go to 4 times at all? Like third time's a charm. Maybe it goes back down to 10%. No.
I don't know how old you are by the time it gets to 4, but yeah, I'm sure by that point you might settle.
Right.
But I think it's interesting. I think people jump because they haven't learned their lessons and from the mistakes they've made. Because we're all wired in a certain way, and we all look for certain things in a partner, and sometimes that's not the healthiest strategy. And the partner that we think we should be with, or we're more attracted to, actually might not be the person that's the healthiest for us to be in a relationship with.
Right. Like it's a boomerang.
Haven't been to me.
Yeah. So you get to work with people who feel like there's just, why bother with relationships, is my guess. Yes.
Yeah, I see people at all stages. I see them, should I stay, should I go? They come to me saying, look, I'm married, but I'm not happy. A lot of the reason people will stay because they have children or financial issues. They feel that life would be so different if they left, that they can't possibly leave. And then I get the people who have been left. Either their partner's been unfaithful, or they've just announced out of the blue that it's happening and they're devastated. I deal with a lot of heartbreak, a lot of clients who are struggling to let go of just their partner and their way of life. I deal with a lot of people going through conflict, especially with narcissistic personality types. So people that, are very controlling. So maybe there's confidence issues, self-esteem issues that we have to rebuild. And then all the way through to people that, I had a client in here this morning who had actually been divorced for 10 years.
Mm.
And her partner, her ex-husband, had moved on. He was remarried. He started a new family, and she was just stuck.
Right.
So, we're talking about dating again and just rediscovering who you are as an individual once you're single again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, you've also gone through this yourself. So you have the experience of your personal. So I liked reading your story. If you could share what happened and why you even fell into this. Did you always know you wanted to be a divorce coach?
No, that wasn't on the job spec at school. When you go to the careers advisor, that just wasn't on there.
Right.
No, I mean, I was very lucky. I was introduced to Tony Robbins at a young age. I was 20 when my dad said, there's this American guy who's coming over and he's doing an event and I want you to go and just see if you like it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a really defining moment actually in my career, because I went along and it showed me that you could have whatever you wanted to have.
Right.
And this is the first time I'd heard that. I mean, the education system in the UK, they really train you to go and work for someone else.
Mm-hmm.
They don't teach you to be an entrepreneur, right? So this took the blinkers off, and I started flying motivational speakers from the States to the UK to put on events. And lucky enough to work with people like Paul McKenna, who's got lots of books out. I Can Make You Thin, I Can Boost Your Confidence. And then other people like Richard Bandler, who created NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and also Tony Robbins himself. So I trained with all these people and I became a coach myself, as well as promoting other people. And then I met my husband, and he wanted to be a speaker, and we set up a business and we grew it. It was a global business with offices in Australia, in Sydney, and an office in London, with 150 staff. And I thought, I was so happy. I'd met my soulmate. I was doing a job that I loved with my husband. And then we had a little boy, and I thought, wow, this is the icing on the cake. It's great.
Yes.
And then I discovered that my husband didn't actually want to be married to me at all. And in fact, he'd met somebody else who he wanted to be with. And within weeks of me finding this out, she was pregnant. And my husband actually moved into the penthouse apartment where I was living with my 1-year-old son with this new woman, although she was 10 years younger than me and very beautiful. And it was very difficult.
Wow.
So started working at our company.
Wait. He had her start working at your company?
Yeah.
Oh.
So she.
Can I say the word bastard? I mean, I'm sure you've done your forgiveness work, but just like on the sheer what's happened. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of the most challenging times.
I bet. Yeah.
So overnight, I had become a single parent. I had, I'd lost my business partner. My business, remember, was my whole passion, my life.
Right,
so I didn't know who I was. I was humiliated. And I see this so many times. So many clients say to me, oh, I'm so embarrassed. Family and friends have found out. My whole office knew, the industry knew. I was very well known in the industry, even in those days. And so it was, it was very embarrassing.
Right.
Plus, I still hadn't shifted my baby weight, and I wasn't confident about my body or the way, I looked. And I had a 1-year-old. So, I was kind of like overwhelmed with everything going on.
I bet.
Plus then my ex hired a very aggressive lawyer. So we had 2.5 years in the high courts in London, and in and out of the high courts and the family courts over access for my son. So, having been through all that, I was really struggling. So I thought, wow, if I'm struggling and I'm a coach and I'm trained in how to manage your emotions, I thought, wow, how does everybody else cope?
Right.
So I looked for help. I looked on the internet. I tried to get some books, but there was nothing specific to how do you hand your baby over to the woman who's been having an affair with your husband, every other weekend. How do you do that?
Right.
It was crushing me. What do you do when you're on your own? Because you don't sign up to not having your kids with you every weekend, right?
Right.
And then rediscovering who I was without the business, without the father of my child around, being single again, dating again. I mean, that was a whole new thing. So, I started to sort of put my own program together. I've been coaching at that time for about 15 years. I just combined my coaching techniques and strategies with the experience I was going through, the heartbreak, the betrayal, but then also the legal situation and understanding it's a whole different world.
Right.
So just trying to piece all that together. And that's really how my whole business grew. It grew out of me creating techniques and strategies to get me through.
Right.
And then my lawyer saying, wow, Sara, this is really helping other people. You know, you could share this with my clients. Would you speak to some people? And I just thought, wow, I'd really like to turn such a traumatic time in my life into something that can actually go on and help other people. And so that's what I did, you know, and then I got the book deal, and then it was a bestseller in the UK, and it just took off.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm a big believer that you can turn it around and you can create an incredible life after a divorce, even if you can't see it at that time.
Right. So I'm going to give you something right now, because I wasn't planning on it, but just listening to your story, you're exactly the kind of person that that I like to promote, because you take something like the shift that happened and something very horrible, and you find a way to alchemize it into something helpful for other people. Yeah. So you get Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award.
Yay!
and there's the marking. So because I believe that in which I saw in your explanation, that all painful things in life, all tragedies, all anything that traditional we see as a deficit that puts us behind or gives us a handicap is really not. It's an opportunity to grow something, or as my big brother Michael Bernard Beckwith says, it breaks your heart open so that you can expand into something even greater. And so you've expanded into a business that, you know, is really needed, because the divorce is one of those things. They say it's one of the top 3 stressors, right? Death of a child, moving our third, and divorce a second. And people feel like the woman that you saw this morning, 10 years of suffering from something that, is truly, it's, nobody wants a divorce, but, sometimes it's the better thing. Can you imagine if you had stayed with a man that you were married to, and it could have been worse, really? ICBW, right? He could have been having affairs and continued this thing, right? Even now. So you have finished that chapter of romance with that particular man, formerly known as Bastard, who now is doing whatever he's doing, and you share a child that is a beautiful child, I'm sure. How old is your child now?
He's 9.
9 years old. His name is
Santiago.
Great name. And he has 2 parents who love him. Yes. And you have a business that you're growing now, and you're helping a lot of people with this thing called divorce. So I think that's fabulous. So if you're listening and you're wondering who I'm talking to today and why we're talking about bastards, you are listening to Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. And it is the last Tuesday of the month. So we're broadcasting live on Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa. If you're listening to Thursday, it's on my syndicated CNBC News Radio channel. But we're talking about seeing divorce first as not the debilitating, horrific, suffer for the rest of your life event that a lot of people kind of have fallen into. And I'm talking to Sara Davison, who's zooming in from London, England, and she is now going to tell me and you what the number one thing when you feel like you can't get up and you're in that thing where it's debilitating. What's the number one thing that can turn you or cauterize the wound, as I call it, or stop the bleeding, what would you say is the most important thing to put on your radar?
Well, because when people are in that state that you're describing, they're so overwhelmed. So everything that I share with my clients, it's got to be simple and easy to do. Otherwise, like you say, they're not going to do it, right?
Right.
So, there's several things that we layer together. Number one, the most important thing, like you say, is to have a breakup support team around you. Now, this consists of at least 5 people. Number one, it's got to be a family or a friend that you trust. But be careful here, because you don't want to go to the friend that's pouring petrol on the flames and encouraging you to do things that maybe, because they're emotionally involved and because they care about you, maybe their advice isn't quite as constructive.
Like right, like that. I know a hitman. I had several of those friends offer that.
They're great to have, but they're not the ones that you need in this team. This is someone that maybe is slightly distanced emotionally from it, so they're not caught up in the intensity, but so they can give you some perspective and constructive advice. So that would be a really good person to have. Also, if you're going through a divorce, I would really suggest you get some legal advice, because one of the things that keeps people stuck and under the duvet and not being able to move is just overwhelmed with the legal jargon. Not understanding what they're supposed to do, what they're entitled to, what their rights are. So actually finding out from a lawyer who's been hopefully referred to you from someone that you trust, then that will give you some perspective and give you some clarity. And that clarity will give you power, because you'll understand what the road ahead looks like legally for you. So that decreases some of that stress to enable you to start taking a bit more action. Number 3 would be a financial advisor, because again, even if you don't like what you find, then at least you can plan. And you can plan if there's a gap in your finances, then you can put a plan together to fill that gap. But you need to know, because what you don't know is going to hold you back and scare you and stop you from moving.
Good point.
And then, I know this is like cliche, but an exercise buddy to do some exercise with, because you need to move. A lot of the time we will shut down when we're sad and we won't move. We won't breathe even. And exercise is all about just getting a stronger body, because if you're moving your body, it's going to affect your mind, and a healthy body will give you a healthy mind. So even if it's just a brisk walk around the block, I'm not talking, going to the gym and weights. I mean, if that's your thing, great. But even if it's, going for a stroll, walking the dog, Pilates, yoga, whatever, but just doing something to keep you moving is really, really important.
Great.
So having these people together, and then having someone to talk about the emotional side is important, because you don't want to be doing that with your legal team, because that's a very expensive, crazy way of getting through a divorce.
Good point. Yeah. They're, $300 to $500 an hour to be, where your girlfriend might be free on crying on the shoulder is a very good point. So be very, very selective on the kind of support and who you're getting that support from. Yeah.
Exactly.
And a lawyer is not necessarily going to shut you down if you start that road, because they're getting paid by the hour. So So it's good
to know. And even if you don't use all of those, just having them there on speed dial on your phone, it just decreases that overwhelm, because if anything comes up, then you've got it covered. That if there's a problem, you've got a team of people that can help you answer that or find some resolution with it. Yeah. And that's what you need. It's about giving yourself that safety net and that safety blanket to keep you moving.
Yeah. Yeah. And how important is it, or I have this formula where, my kids say I don't give them enough time to actually suffer, because I'm like, feel the pain, feel it fully, and then get over it. You don't wallow, don't get infected. But would you agree with that, disagree with that? And where is your cutoff?
Yeah, I agree. The people that come to me, they're ready to make some changes. There's no magic wand to take away all the pain. We're human, and as long as we're not sort of sociopathic, then we have empathy and we're going to feel. So it's normal that if we go through a breakup, we're going to feel that pain. We've got to grieve the end of that relationship. If it meant something to us, it's going to hurt. Right. But there are definitely techniques you can do to dial down, I call it dialing down the intensity of some of those controlling negative emotions. And one of those, and you're right, it's just not to focus on your story, because your brain doesn't know the difference between remembering something from the past or it happening right now.
Yep.
So when you start telling your story, I had a client the other day who turned up at my clinic and she was sobbing. And she said, I don't know what's happened to me. I've gone backwards. But she'd met up with a friend who lived around the corner from where my clinic is. And she'd spent the last hour telling her the details of what had happened, how he'd left her, the betrayal.
Right.
And so her brain had gone, I remember this story. You feel heartbroken. You feel sad. You feel devastated. And so it brought back all those emotions and she was just reliving them. So focus, you've got to shift your focus onto the future, onto something that you're excited to do. So as well as dealing with the pain and the hurt, there's also got to be some kind of continuity towards the future. I get my clients to write what I call your breakup bucket list. And it's everything you can do now that you couldn't have done when you were in the relationship. And so I get them to diarize some of these things, and so they're ticking them off. And so whilst they're doing all these things, I had a client the other day who said, I'm going to climb Everest. And he's now joined a local climbing group and he's going off to climb this mountain and he's so excited about it. He hasn't got the time to think about his ex-wife because he's got all these things going on. Yes, it still hurts when he does, but it's not all consuming anymore because he's not living and wallowing and telling people his story.
Right.
Because he's got a whole new story to talk about and something and new people to hang around with.
Right.
So just by shifting your focus, it will help and it will shift that pain as well.
What's the thing that keeps most people stuck in the pain of divorce, keeps them away from pleasure, keeps them away from trying again? And what would you say to them?
Well, I see a lot of what I've termed social media self-harming. And it's basically stalking on social media. And this is just, picking at that scab over and over again. They're watching where their ex-girlfriend was going and who she's with and what he's doing and who he's friends with and who he's posts that he's liked. And for me, this keeps them in that loop, almost like watching their life, but they're not in it anymore. And that is so painful. But today, with today's society, everyone's glued to their phones and everyone knows someone who knows someone. So it's very easy to do that.
Right.
So what I say is have a social media cult. Even those people that you're friends with, who are friends with your ex, and you don't have to fall out. You don't have to be rude. You can say, listen, it's just a bit painful for me right now. I just need a bit of time out from you. And then we'll reconnect when I'm feeling better. We can just do the, texting or phoning maybe, the old fashioned way just for a while because I don't want to see what they're doing. It's about removing yourself and actually cutting that and letting go of your ex just so you can rebuild to a point where you feel like you're able to move forward.
Yeah. How important is forgiveness?
I find this an interesting topic, because I think it's very individual and I'm not a believer. You see, I deal with a lot of people coming out of abusive relationships, and forgiveness, in my opinion, is something that is up to the individual. And I don't think, it's a must have. I think you can definitely move on. But I think with a lot of my clients, and I know from my own experience that sometimes if you're over empathetic, you can attract abusive relationships because you tolerate or you excuse. And so when you do that, you drop your boundaries. So they might say something, they'll call you a name and you say, okay, well, you're having a bad day and I get it and I forgive you and we move on. And then you did this other thing which wasn't very kind or pleasant, and then you put me down. And slowly all your boundaries have gone because you're forgiving and accepting, and that behavior then becomes the new norm, and then it's very difficult to reestablish any kind of boundaries. Right. So in that situation, and I deal with a lot of clients, and it's really made me realize that actually forgiveness, if you then forgive someone that's done all that to you over a period of a relationship, then you may be enabling them to continue, or you may be allowing your boundaries to drop.
Okay. So, let's clarify what I meant by forgiveness. Okay. So what you're saying is I agree with. That is, I call it, you're not a doormat, you're a wall-to-wall carpet. So that is you're not forgiving, you're allowing people to damage you. Which is not what I mean by forgiveness. Forgiveness to me is allowing and believing the best, that people did the best that they could with the time that they had and the resources they had, And if they could have done better, they would have. However, I'm going to love myself enough, one, to not keep going to the tractor for milk and hating them. And because when I'm hating them, I'm hating myself by bringing that negative emotion to me, but also loving myself enough to not continue the pattern of allowing the harm to come to me. So we're on the same page. So definitely.
I think one of the things I talk a lot about actually is being free to be you, and it's okay to be you. Like, nobody's perfect, and we all have things that we need to work on, areas that are not great, and things that maybe we don't want others to see. But that's okay, because we're all human, and that's what makes us human. So it's okay to be you, and actually learning to love yourself the way you are is a very empowering, liberating state to live in.
Yes.
Wanting to be like the person on social media or the Kardashians or whatever it is.
No K words on this show. I'm going to bleep that out.
That kind of constant striving to have more or be something different, you can never truly reach your full potential if you're living in that state.
Absolutely.
Everybody has their flaws, and it's about learning to love yourself who you are. And when you're in that state, then it's much easier to attract better opportunities into your own life. Right.
Absolutely. And it looks like it's time, getting the signal from Kurt, that we're going to take a little break to thank the sponsors who make this show possible. If you would like to be a sponsor of this Hope and Happiness show, please do contact me at drmarissa.tv, and I'll get some very affordable rates out to you. But we'll be back in 2 and 2. Remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out. Is your website working for you? Are you hoping people will just find you? Hi, this is Dr. Marissa, and Prometheus Designs, Inc. has not only significantly increased the number of visits to my site, it has revamped my graphics and applications so I can splatter more hope and happiness on you more effectively. And for a limited time, I've talked them into offering free website assessments as an Asian Oprah giveaway. So go to PrometheusDesignsInc.com today. Love films? Support diversity? Then come to the Newport Beach Film Festival, a prestigious multicultural event attracting over 55,000 attendees and screening over 350 films in 8 days. Orange County's largest entertainment event will run April 26th to May 3rd, and yours truly, Dr. Marissa, will be introducing the Chinese Spotlight film on April 30th. So for the best in new, local, internationally, and critically acclaimed cinema, get your tickets at NewportBeachFilmFest.com. That's NewportBeachFilmFest.com. And we are back. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice, I'm Not Using It, Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at naturally high noon out of the Sunset Gower studio in Hollywood, California, and then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 4 on my syndicated CNBC News radio channel, KCAA AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere on iHeartRadio. And today is Sexual Healing with Dr. Marissa, with also known as the new Asian Dr. Ruth. And I am here because I want to focus on how we can have more pleasure in our lives. It's not a bad word. Pleasure is a good thing. And sexual healing and helping us get back to pleasure or have more pleasure. And my guest today is Sara Davison, the divorce coach. She's zooming in from London, England, and she has great ideas. If you've just tuned in now, you can catch the replay on Thursday, but great ways and practical tools on how you can get out of the pain of divorce and back into the pleasure of pleasure. So specifically, do you have people who say to you, I just don't want to have sex anymore. I don't want to have a relationship. I don't, I'm having problems getting an erection or climaxing or having an orgasm. Do you have any of that? And what kind of advice do you give?
Yeah, I have a lot of clients who are very emotionally shut down. It's normal at the end of a relationship, especially if there's been a betrayal, that you feel unattractive, and so you don't think that anyone would ever love you, and you're so fearful of that rejection again, that pain that you're going through with the initial heartbreak, that you reject all possibilities of any kind of intimacy with anyone. So I see a lot of that. I see a lot of people really shut down, and I run 2-day retreats, and when they come along the first day, I see them, they're very shut down, very clingy, and some of them aren't talking, and some of them are just so fearful, and everything that they're saying is negative, is quite hateful at times, and very fearful. So on that spectrum, you're not really in any state to have any intimacy or any meaningful relationship.
Right.
But then I also see people that have shut down so much that they're jumping just having sex with anybody, and it means nothing. So you get some people who go to one extreme and say, I'm never going to date again, I don't even want to think about that. And then you get the other extreme of people that are just dating,
anything goes.
dating,
Right.
dating.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is your advice to people who are on that one extreme of I just don't want to, or I can't? Well,
it goes back to working out and giving them some help with boosting that confidence, because if they're not ready, they're not ready, and they have to feel ready. But that means to me that there's a huge signal that they need to work on themselves first, and start learning to love themselves, and that can be quite quick. I have had people that turn up, say, I'm never going to date ever again. And then that evening they're signing up on a dating app and they get a like. And then after that, they're dating and they're up and they're running.
And then they're on the other extreme.
Yeah. I've seen it happen that quick.
Right.
It really is just a mindset to say it's okay, and this is one relationship and one person. And this is a huge planet we're living on,
Yeah.
So you can't just assume that what happened with that one person is going to happen with everyone. But what I do with my clients is I put in what I call protection mechanisms to stop them jumping into unhealthy relationships. So, for example, most of my clients in this state that we're talking about will have 2 criteria for a new partner. 1, they have a pulse.
Yeah.
And 2, they show them a sign of affection. And that's it. And they're in. They're like, you are my new lifelong partner. I'm never going to be alone again. I'll have you.
Right.
But obviously that means they haven't vetted this person. They don't know if they're a match. They don't know if their values are aligned. And they also don't know if they've got some of those must not haves, which are those things that, you can't tolerate. For some people, maybe if they've been with a narcissist, it's controlling behavior or lies. For other people, it might be they smoke or they have kids or, something like that. So, it's about learning to understand what not just you want. Maybe you want a tall, dark, handsome stranger, but what do you need? Do you need someone who's got, a stable lifestyle? Do you need someone that's educated to a certain level? Do you need someone who listens or who can voice their emotions? So it's about looking at that so they're protected, so they feel safer. So when they go out to date again, they have an understanding of what their ideal partner would look like. It's flexible. If they don't have green eyes, then you can be flexible. But maybe if they smoke, that's a deal breaker, and you can't do that.
Right.
And just understanding there's Mr. Right or Miss Right, but there's also Mr. Right Now and Miss Right Now, and they're very different. And it's okay to just date Mr. or Miss Right Now for a bit.
Yeah, I've been doing that. Yeah. So it sounds like what I'm hearing is that it's important in this process of healing to understand your part in that relationship not going well, so that you're not repeating any of the same patterns to attract the same kind of man that you ended up, or woman that you ended up with, that it did not go well. So it sounds like a little bit of responsibility. So moving from, oh, poor me, victim, look what was done to me, to what's my part in attracting who I did, and what needs to change in me so that I don't do that again.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so definitely on the same page.
Understanding, because our parents would have had a big influence on us. I had a client the other day, and she'd married a man who was Greek. Now, Greeks are well known for staying and fighting it out in the room. If you've got a disagreement, you stay and you scream and you shout and you might smash a few plates, and that's what you do to get the resolution. But she came from a family where it wasn't right to raise your voice, and if you did get upset, you just get up respectfully and leave the room and then come back when you calm down. But this woman had married this guy, and together they were bringing those values, which were to them showing love and respect. So he was in his own way showing love and respect for staying in the room and fighting it out.
Right.
Whereas
not a match.
he felt very disrespected and unloved when she left the room. So it was a miscommunication. So again, it's looking at those sort of things as well and understanding what makes us tick, why we do the things we do, and what we need, and how we communicate, so we can find that in a partner.
So do you practice what you teach?
I do. I walk my talk. I think it's really important, especially in this industry, right?
I don't. That's why my show's called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. So in the last little bit of time we have, first, how do people find you?
Well, my website is saradavison.com. So that's SARADAVISON.com. And on there I have online products as well. So I know that I'm based in the UK, but I do have online retreats which I run for people, so they are available. Also on Facebook, Sara Davison Divorce Coaching. Instagram, I'm on Instagram as well, Sara Davison Divorce Coach. Twitter, SD Divorce Coach. So I write a lot on social media. So I give a lot of free advice, free tips. If you're going through a breakup right now, any kind of breakup, I put out everyday advice and tips to help. So hopefully you can follow that, and that would be useful for you.
Beautiful. And so I am happily divorced myself, and I'm trying to figure out what kind of advice I would want from you. Yeah, even though I am happily divorced, and I think that is there anything wrong with not having time or a desire for a relationship? I wouldn't say ever, but it's like I'm conflicted sometimes, because I say I want a relationship, but then the next day it's like, as soon as I start the time that it takes to have conversation to have a relationship, I'm like, I don't have time. So what would you advise someone like me? I mean, you don't know me that well, but you kind of do know me as far as what I should be doing.
Well, I mean, you're gorgeous and you have so much going on in your life. You're bound to be busy. So actually, for someone to come into your life, they've got to be able to fit quite easily. Otherwise, it's not going to work, right?
Right.
So I think it's about working out, giving yourself the balance, because ultimately, it's been proven actually, and there's some books out at the moment. There's a book called Attached, which talks about this. Actually, as human beings, we are more empowered when we're in a secure relationship. So having that is a real bonus. But that doesn't mean to say you can't achieve a lot on your own. And also, if you're in a toxic relationship, well, then forget it. That's not going to help.
Right.
So I'm a believer that, the right person will come along at the right time. But I guess it's just about being aware to keep your eyes open, because you don't want that person to walk into your life and you not recognize it because you're too busy. Because what if they are that person, So maybe give them a chance. Maybe say, okay, consciously, you tick some of the boxes on my ideal partner list that we've designed. So therefore, let me give you a chance. We'll have a conversation. I'll take time out, because that's investing in you. And that's important.
Right. And I do tell my clients all the time, there's nothing like romance because you can't get that feeling from your parents or your friends or your children. Yeah. So it's a beautiful thing. On the other hand, it can be like, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat on the wide world of sports. So I go back and forth on that. But thank you so much. I really great advice, great practical things that anyone who's listening, I hope that if you are in the middle of a breakup, that you are not feeling anything, that you can get those 5, your support people of 5, not someone who's going to offer you a hitman, do that exercise. And then she said, pull the duvet over in case that was an English thing. It's the comforter. So just in case. You
Okay,
were do a little interpretation here, but and you do have an Asian Oprah giveaway for me too, for people. So if you'd like, Sarah's offering. What are you offering?
So I'm offering a free breakup survival guide. So basically, if you're going through a breakup at the moment, you're going through that initial heartbreak, or you're struggling in the process, then you can download it. It's got exercises that you can take part in. You can write your answers down on there. You can print it out. It's a really good book, packed full of information. So I'm offering that to you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So you just go to saradavison.com.
Yeah,
and download it there.
You'll see it's a free download. You can download it and I'll email it straight to you. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then I usually ask, just curious, and to finish up the loop. So is the divorce finished? Your divorce finished? And how long ago? That was like 9 years ago, right? Because your son's 8 years. And now is he still with her?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. She's gone. She doesn't work for you anymore? Is the business...
No, I don't work with him anymore. Like, no, obviously we separated. The divorce, he bought me out of that business.
Oh, he did buy you out. Okay.
Yeah.
And
so
then...
I do my own thing.
Okay. And are you like cordial?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We're amicable. We get on, we're never going to be the best buddies.
Right.
But, we get on. We've got a son and his interests come first. So, do the right thing is my motto. And boy, do I do that.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
And are you, I'm going to be nosy. Are you in a relationship now?
I am dating, but nothing serious right now.
Okay.
No.
So if I go to London, we can go play.
Yeah, we are definitely going out to play. Definitely.
Actually, I'll be there in June. I'll be there in June. So I'm taking my daughter on a high school graduation trip to Italy and Paris in England. So, I meant to tell you that before. So maybe we'll go to a place with you'll line them all up for me.
I will.
Right?
I will line them all up. We'll do the exercise first, so I know what you want and need, and then we'll go.
Sounds beautiful. Sounds beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining me here on Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa. Sexual Healing Week. You can heal from a bad divorce. You heard it here exclusively. SaraDavison.com. Great advice. Great free Asian Oprah giveaway. Last question. I always ask my guests, what are you most grateful to or for?
My son.
I knew that was coming.
My little boy.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And just blessings to you. We'll stay in touch. I'm glad that we made this work. And
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. You're fantastic. I love your work. And I'm going to be promoting it to everyone over here too. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Take care. All righty. It is now time for welcoming you to my balance bar. It is the what day is today? 23rd? Is it the 23rd? Anyways, it's not in the first 21 days. I don't know what day it is. So there's no balance tip on how to not complain. But you can be like V Brackett and sign up at my website, 4balance.org, for the next round, 83 of the 21-day fast from Complaining with Dr. Marissa. That starts on May the 1st. And speaking of May the 1st, I am so excited. It will be my 6th year on the air and in front of camera. 313 consecutive weeks. I can't believe it myself. So you're going to have to tune in next week. I'll tell you who's coming up. But this week I'm not teaching at Rosie's Dog Beach, the Balanced Tai Chi Gong, because I've got 3 amazing events. I'm going to have to be at 3 different places at the same time. First is Revelation 2018, Agape International Spiritual Center's yearly conference. I'll be covering all the red carpet. Lisa Nichols, past guest, Joe Dispenza, Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, Ricky Byers Beckwith. I'll be singing on stage with the Agape International Choir on Sunday. So please do go to agapelive.com. Get your tickets there if you are not close by. And if you are, I expect to see you in Culver City as well on, let's see, it starts Thursday night, opening night for the Newport Beach Film Festival, one of my show sponsors. Please do come and say hi and get a soundbite with me at both places. April the 30th is the Chinese Spotlight Film and the Pacific Rim Showcase Gala. So please get tickets for that and come and join me for that. I'll be on the red carpet and introducing the Chinese film, which is kind of cool. And so I hope to see you for that. What else is going on? I'm going to a yacht for diversity, some ambassadors, United Nations. I get to do that. So I'll show you some pictures from there. What else? I think that is it for what I'm going to be doing and where you can balance with me. Next week, because it is my anniversary, I can't think of a better guest than the mom, and it is Mother's Day month as well. But Marion Ross, do you remember her? She's 90 years young. She's going to be my guest. She is the mom from Happy Days. And that's the picture that is there. You remember I had Potsy on earlier. Was it earlier this year or last year? Anson Williams, fabulous guy. And now I'm having the mom, Marion Ross, on for the show to celebrate my 6 years. And then the week after that, because it is still Mother's Day month, I'm having Barbara Marks Hubbard, who Neil Donald Walsh, another past guest, calls the mother of invention. So packed full with great guests. Continue. Thank you for being listeners. Thank you for being watchers. Thank you for being supporters of Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
Take away the part of me that wants to stay.